Now, having completed the documentary, you've gotten such wonderful feedback. Were you anticipating just the level of interest and engagement in the subject matter?
Not at all. For me, I just, wanted to finish the film. I think it was a huge burden having this footage and having this information and knowing that your country urgently needs this and the public urgently needs this, for the public discussion. The last time I spoke to you, we had just returned from our world premiere in Sheffield, in England, at a very prestigious film festival, and we were really honoured to be the first South African film to ever win at Sheffield. We were awarded the Green Award, and the international jury praised Unearthed as a film with critical international relevance due to the issue that it unpacks, and a film that really can inspire global action. Following that, we returned home for our national debut at the Encounters Film Festival, where the audience voted us the Best South African Film. We're also very happy to have won the Best South African Film Audience Award at the Tricontinental Human Rights Film Festival. We've also just returned from an amazing run at ITFA, which is the biggest documentary film festival in Amsterdam. We did very well, sold out, packed screenings, and really very important Q&A sessions after each film. We also have done huge tours across South Africa. We've done tours across Ireland, England and Scotland, as well as now in the Netherlands. We also met with the Dutch government and spoke to many people in The Hague as well about Unearthed. And I think that's the real reward, I think, for the team, is knowing that our work is really helping governments across the world. So it's not just people in the audience that are giving these amazing awards at film festivals, but the film actually helps policy making. It actually helps researchers at universities, and it really has bolstered the public discussion with sort of a first-hand experience of what's actually happening in the United States, which I believe has been missing up until now.
And significantly, you were receiving emails and messages from people saying that the films really challenged them to change the way they think about the way they consume energy.
Yeah, definitely. We've been overwhelmed with the amount of response we've had from the everyday people. I think, as a filmmaker, you don't actually anticipate that kind of impact that your film can have. For you, it's just about finishing it and then seeing what happens. And Unearthed really inspired many people. We have the most amazing emails that come through of people saying, thank you, you finally inspired me to write my book, or on the other hand, you've changed my mind and my opinion, and I'm putting my lights off and I'm cycling more, or whatever it is. And I think that's huge. If you're able to create some sort of product, such as a documentary, that can really shift public opinion, that can really allow people to have that deep personal introspection about their place in the world and their responsibility in the world. I think it's a huge gift to be able to do that, and I'm so grateful for everyone that helped us along the way.
Now, in true South African style, we can't really agree on fracking, and there are two very strong camps. What do you say to people who are on the other side of this, who say that perhaps the American case study is not what's going to happen in the Karoo, or that the health effects or the effect on the water isn't necessarily related to the extraction of the shale gas in the States?
Certainly, and I don't ever want to shy away from debates. I think I just contribute to these discussions as from what I can offer with my skill set as a journalist and a filmmaker. I really welcome conversations with all sides of the debate. I think it's very important to be quite honest about the case in the Karoo. I think more and more economists are really concerned about the precarious economics with shale gas. It's far more expensive to drill and frack in South Africa. We have no gas infrastructure. We have to drill much deeper. So many economists also wondering, how long this gas reserve is going to last. Are we going to be falling short in as far as energy policy goes? I also think that the United States, where this technology was developed, we expected them to do a pretty good job of regulating it and controlling it. And unfortunately, the industry really beat independent science and beat the regulatory agencies, in the race. I think they're still scrambling to be able to understand what the industry is about and how to best monitor and control it. I think many of the engineers and scientists that I've spoken to always say, as far as regulation goes, unfortunately you can't regulate geology, and that's where most of the impacts come with fracking. Is water contamination or air pollution are usually linked to an inherent shortcoming with the fracking technology. you just can't, you just can't cap off the flaring immediately after the well's been fracked to prevent those kinds of toxins entering the air. You can't ensure that your well casing is going to be intact until eternity to protect local water supplies. So there's an inherent sort of the Achilles heel, as these scientists call it, in the fracking technology that we need to be very honest about in South Africa. The Karoo also has its own unique challenges in its geology, which more and more researchers are growing quite concerned about. I think gas companies have never really had to confront dolerite intrusions. We've also in some cases the work of University of the Free State pointing at artesian areas in the Karoo where there's a natural upward migration or a force that could lead to the upward migration of fluids. So I think that we have to be quite honest about the specific vulnerabilities in the Karoo, and also look at the other options on the table and ask ourselves what is going to be the most long-term just and sustainable development strategy for the Karoo and for South Africa, and not confuse that with a corporate business plan. I think more and more governments are getting confused about the huge difference between the two.